What is good, my people of the internets? We almost at 100, I think. I'm about to pull it up. Hold up. Hubs. What the heck, guys? If we make it to alright, I'm just playing. But for real though, I am very grateful. If we could make it to 100, bro, no cap, I'll be honest with you, no cap, I will do a part 2 to What If Deku was the pilot of Barbados. Yeah, because a few people seem to like that one, or I might come out with a part 4 of this. I don't know. I rewatched the video, and the freaking phone, my recording software, cuts out some of what I say. So if some of what I say doesn't make sense, just try to piece it together in your mind to where it'll make sense for you. I do greatly apologize. I honestly didn't realize that until I started watching my own videos, and it does it on almost all of them. Now it could be YouTube, it could be just my recording software in general, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, where I left off on What If Deku had went to the Akame got killed world is when, you know, Akame was snuggling with Izuku, chilling. You know, they were sleeping. And, you know, uh, I'm gonna say that Sue, for some reason, fell asleep. I don't know why. Uh, you know, and everyone had opened the door and saw this, and, uh, they didn't believe it until now, and mine was like, oh, that, that jerk, because she still likes the, not really, she kinda, sorta likes him in a way, I guess. I don't know. No cap. Like, she's got like a love-hate relationship, so pretty much, yeah, Tsundere in a nutshell. Um, hmm. Anyway, uh, So, they were all freaking out, kinda. And you know what? Scratch out what I said about anything I said about mine liking Izuku, because now she's kind of like, well, I guess he's taken. Nothing I can do about it. Because why not? Just to get her off of his back, because he already has 2 crazy chicks that will fight to the death over this guy. Like, no cap. I wish I was him. No cap. But anyway, continuing forward, Izuku, he opens his eyes again, and he looks down, and he's like, he pretty much mouths, I swear to God, you come in this room acting a fool, we about to fight. And I will put you down in 5. I will light you. No cap, I will waste you. It will be Fallout 4 up in here. They don't get any of this. Susanoo, he wakes up and looks at him, and he translates, and he says, basically, he said, if you don't leave, he's going to murder you. They get, he starts releasing a bunch of murderous intent in their general direction, and make sure it goes over Akame, and they're like, everybody like, ski, and then they go ski ski, and then they leave because they want to get folded. They don't want to catch them hands. They really don't want to catch them hands, boy. They really don't want to catch them hands. Anyway. So, continuing forward, Izuku had, just went back to sleep. Susanoo got up and went outside and stood in front of the door to make sure they couldn't get any more looks. And Koro, got up, walked over to the window, and sat down in like a humanoid form, because he's a transforming thing, just because, and then he said, Koro was just chilling, in his husky form, because I love me a husky, and, they tried to watch them through the window. Koro just poked his head out and just bit. He broke the part where the world's severing string was connected, because you can't break the world's severing string. Anyway, so they fell, they're like, dang it, stupid dog. Koro's chuckling a little, And then Akame, unfortunately, starts waking up. And then Izuku, he starts waking up because he feels Akame moving. And he's like, no. He grabs her and pulls her back into his chest. And she's like, Izuku, wake up. And he's like, no. She says, Izuku, let me go. He... and then... I'm gonna say... what should I say? I don't know, honestly. Akame is like, Izuku, let me go. And then the way she said it makes Izuku think of someone, and, he immediately lets go and jumps up, and he's like, he immediately jumps up and gets into like, he immediately lets her go and then moves. He walks out of his room. And she's like, did I say something? He's like, I did it again. And no. Now, I'm gonna give you a little bit of context. Alright, we're not just continuing on with this no context. Where is he going with this? No, we're not doing any more of that no context nonsense. Alright, so, Izuku, okay? Before he died, he and Uraraka were dating. Alright? And essentially, he was betrayed by Uraraka. When he went to go hug her one day, she said, let me go, Izuku. And Akame said it in such a vaguely similar way that it threw him off. So he was freaking out a little bit on the inside. So he had gotten up and walked out just to calm down because he hated Uraraka for what she did later. She became a villain, and then she was the reason Izuku kind of died. I think I said that's the reason. If I did say something different, scratch. She and pretty much everyone else in 1A are the reason he's dead. He died. He doesn't plan on going back, but if he ever did find a way back, he was going to take vengeance. I am their mercy. I am their vengeance. Nah, I'm not going to go any further. I'm not going to say anymore. Anyway, so yeah, Shizuku, he put his hands in his pockets. He was looking glum all day, and anytime Akame would try to walk up to him, he'd be like, sorry, I gotta go, and then he'd flash step, and she was like, did I do something wrong? What did I do? She doesn't know about the whole thing, and Susanoo's like, oh, Master seems distressed. I doubt it's because of you. It might have been something you said. And she's like, something I said? But what did I say? And he's like, I don't know. Whatever it was, it must have messed up Master. They're both kind of confused on, like, why Izuku is acting this way. Because normally, Izuku is happy-go-lucky. He's, like, always, like, super freaking chill. And I don't know how he does that, because I would never be chill. Like, I'd always be turn up, full power at all times. I don't know why I said that. I might have just been copyright claimed. Oh no, I don't like to be copyright claimed. When somebody says, I'm about to hit a turn up, and you start charging one for all throughout your body, and then the other person started just dancing, and you're like, oh, we not about to fight? It's like, no, turn up, like, dance, bro. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop now. Anyway, so, Izuku had gone to go take a bath to cool off his head, okay? To cool off, because he was super stressed. Also, the other person Najina grabbed, their Imperial Arms is like a full-on brute force Imperial Arms. Like, it gives them the strength of 100 bulls. And it activates through, I'm gonna say a glove he wears on his right hand, because why not? I don't know, I'm just coming up with new crap, alright? Anyway, so yeah, Izuku had gone, he's like, alright, I'm gonna go do some exercises. You know, he runs off. I'm gonna say he runs, and okay, like I said, I'm going to fix some things, okay? Now, when I say Izuku is still under the effects of the drug that Dr. Light made, the neurotoxin. So when I say he's using 100%, you know, or if I say he's using 25%, that means he's using 100% of what he can use currently. His body is still under the effects of the drug, so he can't really go all out. If he did, he'd probably hurt himself. You know, his body can withstand 100%, but 100% of 25 is 25%. Isn't much. Anyway, even with supercharge, it's gonna take a while for the chemicals to burn out in his system. So, you know, Izuku is running at like 5%, which for this is like 0.5%. I'm just playing. He's under the effects, but he can only use a maximum of 25. If he pushes beyond that, it'll hurt him. But he can, you know, 5% is still 5%. You know, I'm gonna keep changing it throughout this. I don't know why. You know, so he's running at a normal 5%. Okay. So, you know, once he gets to an area, he's like, one for all's off for some reason. I feel weaker. You know, he starts training again. And I'm gonna say, you know, Susano, not Susan. Yeah, I think it's Susanoo. Not Susano, I think it's like Susanoo. And, you know, what's his name? Koro. You know, followed Izuku, and Akame hopped onto Koro's back as it turned into a big dog as it ran. I'm gonna say everyone else was coming up on behind them. Also, Night Raid base was destroyed, so they are in the mountains now. So, you know, Izuku's training his absolute butt off. You know, he starts actually breaking his sweat, and he's like, normally, I wouldn't. It would have taken longer for me to get tired out. That weird poison crap stuff running through my system. I'm gonna say he was training right next to a waterfall. So he goes, sits under the waterfall, and begins meditating. Because why not? And by doing this, he starts absorbing the energy from the water. Now this is gonna be really weird, but see, supercharge, I don't remember what I called it in the first part, is an energy absorption quirk. Once it was fused with one for all, it absorbs all energy. So he began sucking I'm gonna say the water was pretty warm because a hot spring. You know, a hot spring was nearby. So he's absorbing the thermal energy along with all the energy coming out of the sun straight into his body, along with a whole bunch of other energy into his body, so he could, you know, start burning the poison really quick. And I'm gonna say, screw it. He can, you know, alter things by altering their energy. So I'm gonna say he slammed his hand onto the ground and created like a dome made of rock. Okay? Now the water can still flow in. I don't know how, it just can. And the light can still go inside, it's just no one can see what's on the inside. Think of it like tinted glass, but way more tinted and way more durable. So light can get in. No. Light can get in, but you can't see what's on the inside. So it looks like a rock. Okay? And then, he's still burning off most of the poison, which is going to take him a while. While this is happening, Bulat, no, scratch that. Before Izuku had gone to go burn off the access chemicals in his body, he and Bulat had gone to go take care of that mission, and Akame was still trying to get to Izuku to talk to him, being like, hey, what's going on? And when he was like, Izuku was completely avoiding her, Izuku looked like he was going to freak out whenever, he looked like he was freaking out a little bit every time he was near Akame. And he keeps, Bulat's like, so, what's the story there? And he says, I'll tell you in a story I learned from my people. And Bulat's like, shoot, I love stories. And he says, I'm just coming up with this off the top of my head. There once was a man with power of power. The power to make his dreams into reality. There once was a man who had nothing, was tormented by demons, and other men who thought him too weak to be worthy to live. One day, a wise and powerful man gave him power. And Bulat's like, the power to what? The power to dream. And with this power, he became the strongest. But everyone grew jealous. Once people found out this power was given, they began to plot a way to steal it. And then a woman that he had loved for the longest time, told him the words he wanted to hear the most, and got close to him. And then, out of spite, she killed him. And then, the man had awakened. Bulat's like, what? And the man had awakened, and he's like, I'm not finished. And then he continued saying, and then the man had awakened. Now, once he had met the girl, he had met a different girl who told him the exact same thing the woman he loved in his dreams told him. And he grew fearful that she would do the same. So he put himself distant, so he would not have to fear feeling his pain again. I'm gonna say, somehow Bulat found a way to record this. He's like, well, we've got to get some sleep. We've got a big day tomorrow. And he knows who the story is about. He's Bulat. He would know. He's a good guy. Right? So he had summoned, not really, summoned, like, he pricked his finger and slammed it on the ground. Summoned, no. He had a falcon and told it to go to night raid. Once it got there, he had written on a box, play me. They started winding the gears, and then they heard Izuku's voice. They had heard Izuku and Bulat talking. And then Akame was there, and she's like, so he opened up to Bulat? What happened? Then they started listening to it, and then they heard the story, and they were like, wait a minute, is the man in this situation Izuku? You know, and Shell was the one who said that because she seems like the person who would care the most. Well, Shell and Akame, but Akame is still trying to process what she had just heard because it doesn't make sense to her. Like love doesn't make sense to me because I do not find the appeal. But that's just me. You can have your own opinion. I honestly don't care. So Shell had said Izuku was the man in this scenario. The man who was given the power to dream. And I would guess someone he had loved before Akame told him something that Akame had said. You know what? No, Akame had... didn't say let me go. She was saying... what would she have said? I don't know, you tell me what you think she said in the comments, because I'm actually drawing a blank here. But she didn't say, go away! And Akame was like, did I? Oh, I must have hurt his feelings without realizing. You know, Leone's like, no shit! The guy's heart broken. The guy's heart was literally broken. Poor kid. I feel bad for him. But who broke his heart? We'll have to talk to him about it when he gets back. Najida was the one who said we'll have to talk to him about it when he gets back. Because she has questions about him saying stuff like the #1 hero. And how Koro and Susanoo had told her how he had such a heroic spirit. And how he had so many powers without having Imperial arms. So she was going to question him once they got back. You know, the 3 beasts had shown up and Izuku was like, crap, I'm not fully healed. You know, he actually draws his sword. He knows how to sword fight, alright? He taught Akame new things. So he knows how to sword fight. You know, he gets into a battle position. You know, the big guy started running up towards him and saying, I'm gonna get so many experience points from this. And Izuku had met his blow. And then when his sword broke, he spun it around and stabbed it into the guy's back. Now, it broke off a little bit, so it did puncture him and stabbed him in the heart, so he is dead. Izuku was like, well, there's my only sword. And he's like, wait a minute. You know, he holds out his hand and Black Whip. And, you know, he's like, I just thought of something. You know, he picks up a handle. I want to say there was just a random, you know, sword handle because there was a blacksmith on board. He picks up a sword handle. You know, Black Whip gauntlets start wrapping around his body. And then once they touch the grip, they begin wrapping around it, creating a sword. And once they complete the sword, you know, instead of it being like, you know, how like when your fingers are in a lock, like it looks like rope tied together, no, it flattens out. It actually now looks like a sword, a black and red sword. Izuku's like, huh, did actually think that would work. Now, you know, he gets into a battle position, is like, come get me. So, yeah, Izuku had, you know, Bulat's like, Well now, looks like you already had some fun. And he's like, you take out the one with the ring. I'll take the one with the ring. You take the one with the flute. The guy with the flute seems the most dangerous. Bulat's like, how come? He's like, just believe, just trust me, Bulat. My instincts may be weak, but I can still tell something's off. So, when Suzuki had gone to go fight the, General Griever, General Griever clashed swords with Izuku, and since there was a hint of power and determination behind his blade, but a little bit more of worry and hesitation. He's like, you hesitate, boy. I wonder why. Have you been hurt recently by one of my comrades? Izuku's like, wait. You're the one. You're one of the people who sent that freak to go kill me and my friends. Izuku had brought back the sword again and slashed down, shattering the other guy's blade into like a million pieces. He's like, no hesitation, so much more power. When I think that's his name, General Griever, had dashed back, he looked up at Izuku, and Izuku was shaking, and the floor underneath him was starting to crack, and like a dense air started to fill the entire place, and like red lightning was flashing off of him. His hair started to turn black, and when he looked up, his eyes had turned red. Well, one of his eyes was red, the other one was white. Well, okay, just to specify, the white part of his eye turned black, and where his eye would normally be green, turned white in one eye. On the other, the part where his eye was green had turned red. Right? And then he had charged, and his power was jacked through the roof because he was using one of the other 8 users' quirks. I mean, technically he has 9, including his own, but, he had already, booked it. And this quirk is called Full Berserk, where he negates pretty much all pain and everything until his target is destroyed. So yeah, he had started tearing into that man. The guy was trying his best to dodge, using his Imperial arms to try and counter him and get him away. It wasn't doing much. So when Blood had knocked the other guy out, he had gone to go stop Izuku. So when Izuku was about to deliver a blow that would have, not only done the other guy in, but done him in because he was about to get his gut punctured by a serpent, Nubulat had dashed in and knocked Izuku out of the way while also being able to dodge. So Izuku, he snapped out of it and he's like, Bulat? What's going on? Why does everything hurt? And he's like, calm down. What the hell happened? He's like, I don't know. Everything went black. And he's like, is this one of your powers? And he's like, maybe. I don't know. All of my powers belonged to someone else before I had them. Also, one of you people who commented, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was wrong about Nana Shimura being Shigaraki's mother. It's her grandmother. It's his grandmother. I'm sorry for being a dunderhead. I apologize. I am sorry. Please forgive me. So, Izuku, he was on the sidelines because his body hurts, and he's like, bro, hold on. It's pretty heavily injured. I bet he has something up his sleeve if you let me do that much damage. He's like, no, you're quite right. And then he proceeds to use his trump card, which causes Bulat to go on the offensive. So, Bulat had done some pretty decent damage, so they both had to revert to their, normal forms. And then they proceeded to have a sword fight, because, the other guy had pulled out another sword that he had that Izuku didn't notice. And then, he gave himself an injection, which is actually poison, and then they started to have their fight. And Bulat was a lot less tired, so he would notice the spray pattern and be able to block and destroy a majority of them, except for like one or two that would still pierce him. Also, the flute guy, yeah, he was technically already dead. And so, Bulat was dying slowly. He's gonna be like, hold on, Bulat, let's get you out of here. And he had charged up One For All, and he realized One For All was not working for some reason. He's like, come on, please, come on. He started crying. He's like, no, I won't lose another one. I won't lose another friend. And, also, it wasn't the entire class that screwed Deku over. It was everyone except for Kirishima, who was, y'all gonna hate me for this, but y'all might not. Kirishima was killed before Izuku, so Kirishima might be here. Maybe. You never know. He might be. Todoroki too. Is Todoroki cool? Denki and Aizawa. Because all the heroes had started turning bad because they realized how corrupt their own society was, so they started killing other heroes and da 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 da. But we'll worry about later, if he ever gets back, which he might, but he might not. You never know. Stay tuned. Anyway, cutting the slack, cutting the crap. So he was like, please, One For All, full cowling, 100%. Bulat's like, wait, One For All? And Izuku had started getting the red veins, and then he launched off on one foot, and then proceeded to spin, which was gathering him enough momentum to create like an air platform, which allowed him to launch himself off again in the direction of the base. And every time they started losing propulsion, Izuku would use 100% one of his fingers while holding onto the line to give them a little more, angling it into where it would not only launch them up, but keep going them towards their location, where they're trying to go. Once they got back to the base, Izuku's entire right hand, except for his thumb, was broken. Well, pretty much his entire right hand. So he had brought back his fist. It punched into the ground so it would soften their blow. And when he landed, he went with a boom. You know, everyone was like, what's going on? You know, they ran outside, realized what's going on. You know, they saw Bulat, and they saw Izuku in a crater. They had to know what happened, so they brought Bulat in and Izuku. They started treating Bulat's wounds, realizing he was poisoned, and tried to save him. They're still trying when Izuku begins to stir and wake up. And, mind you, Akame is, you know, trying to figure out who could have hurt Izuku so she can hurt them. Also, yeah. I have a feeling I'm about to regret what I'm about to do. But, the whole reason they had betrayed Izuku was also because Bakugo. And both Bakugo and Uraraka are here. In the, Akame got killed world. They are both super entitled. Now, I need to think who Uraraka would be. I know who Bakugo's gonna be. The, Minister Honest's son is who Bakugo's going to be in this. And he still has his quirk all combined with the, Shabala, I think that's how it's pronounced, thing. It allows him to teleport, which is BS. Anyway. So yeah. Once Izuku had, you know, dealt had started to wake up, you know, his Imperial Arm, you know, Susanoo filled him in on the situation. And he ran to go, you know, he got up. Mind you, his legs are still broken, so he falls. And he says, no, I need to go. I need to see him. I need to make sure he's okay. You know, and Susanoo's like, fine. But I warn you, it could be a little hard to look at him. You know, they went over there, and Izuku saw Bulat, who was heavily injured, and his, you know, body looked like poop. It looked like he was going to kick the bucket any day soon. You know, Izuku was like, Bulat? And Bulat was like, oh, hey, buddy. You know, he looked super skinny. Because I'm gonna say that's what the poison did. It started eating away at his body. They did manage to find an antidote, but it's working slowly. Slower than the poison. So it could kill him, or it could not kill him. You know, if you want, if I'm just saying, if you do want Bulat to die, I guess I don't have a choice. It's what the viewers want. Just that I might be a little disappointed. I won't be mad. I'll just be disappointed. Anyway, so Bulat's like, listen, buddy. We both know I won't be able to wear Incursio anymore. He's like, don't say that, Bulat. Come on. You're the only user for Incursio. I don't think anyone else here could wear it. And, you know, Bulat, you know, he chuckles. He says, and he starts coughing again. He's like, that's a lie. You could. Izuku's like, whoa, what are you talking about? Come on, you're not gonna give me a Curcio. No. You're gonna wear it. He says, listen, Izuku. It is it could be my last wish. I want someone to wear the armor. And you're the only one here who can wear it. So Izuku was like, no! Come on, we've gotta find a way to heal him, right? He starts tearing up. They've never seen Izuku act like this, so they don't, everyone else doesn't know what to do. Even Sue doesn't know what to do. Akame sure as hell doesn't know, sure as heck doesn't know what to do. Sure doesn't know what to do. Because she is, still trying to think, like, what am I going to do? Oh, I just realized who I'm gonna make. Oh, y'all about to hate me for this. Y'all are about to hate me for this. So what is death, right? See, when Esdeath drank the demon's blood, the voices in her freaking head? Yeah, I'm gonna make it one voice, and it's Otako's. Yep, Otako is in Esdeath's head. And she still loves Deku. In a yandere way. Because she's a freak. Because, So anyway, Izuku hadn't realized it, and he's still having his breakdown. Like, listen, I don't want to take your armor. I can't lose another friend. I couldn't take it. He looks up, and his face is, he's crying. Bulat gets up for a few seconds and smacks Izuku. Like, listen, if you do think of me as a friend, then do it. Izuku, he's still teared up. Everyone's like, Bulat, was that really necessary? Izuku was like, no. He finally smacked some sense into me. Sorry, I had to see that side of me. And he's like, it's fine, kid. I just don't want to see it again. Bulat was sat back down because he was about to fall over. And now we're gonna go back to the part where, Izuku had gone out to go, see if he could heal himself. He'd take out the poison that was slowly, draining, not slowly, was suppressing his power. He asked Sue to take him instead of him going at, power. And he had taken in Curcio. No, he hadn't taken in Curcio. Because he knew he had Sue to defend him. So he was fully concentrated on healing. Not to say, the more energy he was absorbing, he was starting to feel a little tired because of one reason. So he may have been absorbing enough energy to keep him alive, to nullify the poison, but he's absorbing a lot at once. And if he absorbs too much at once, it could put him in a coma. If I didn't say that, that's like one limitation. Anyway. So, Akame had found out where he was healing himself and walked up to Sue and was like, "Is he hungry? I made food." And he's like, "Sure, let me get him." And he's like, "Master?" Izuku's, he had woken up from out of his trance because he was talking with the former users of One For All, trying to figure out what to do. Also, All Might is there, because All Might kinda dead, dude. But he is there. Anyway, All Might, was like, "Yo, Izuku, that happened so long ago now. Let it go. She's not here. None of them are. If they have, you'll find them. I promise." Because that's some fatherly advice. It's like, "Thanks, Dad." And he's like, "Thanks, Dad, mate." He's like, "You're still gonna keep calling me that, aren't you?" He's like, "Yeah. I miss talking to you." He's like, "I missed you too, my boy. More than you would know." Anyway, the first user was like, "Hey, you're being called back to the real world. Time for you to go. You can come back whenever." It's like, "Okay. Nice seeing you again." He had gone back to the real world. He had woken up. He's like, "Huh? What?" He's like, Akame walks up and he's like, "You hungry? I made food." Because she still feels kind of bad for trying to, making him remember something that hurt him so much. He's like, "Come sit." He gets out of the water and he goes to sit down. He says, "Come sit. I need to talk to you." She takes a big gulp because she's worried that he's gonna say we can't be together, so she's freaking out. And then he says, I'm sorry for acting like this." And she's like, she's shocked. She's like, What? He's like, "I'm sorry I was so weak. I'm sorry. I'm so weak. I can't sing anymore." What you said reminded me of something I was told 100 times a day because I was weak. Because I wouldn't amount to anything without power. No one can. And then I was given power. Everyone was angry. They wanted to know why I was the only one to gain such power. It just hurt a lot. Someone I cared about. I'm sorry. He's crying. She hugs him. Okay. Look, she puts his head between her moons. It's like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm here for you. And, Izuku starts crying, and Susanoo's like, well, time for me to go. Susanoo walks away, and he's like, I, gang. The ship has sailed! Once he makes it back to the base, he says this, and everyone, they're popping champagne bottles. They're like, whoa, we're about to get wasted. They have their lunch. They've made up. They're all happy now. Because Zuko, said that he liked her. She said she liked him, and now they're a thing. Because that's how that works. So yeah, that's where I'm going to be leaving this part off. Sorry I didn't get through many plot points today. I just wanted to do a little bit of character building. And it is part 3, so you guys can't complain. Ooh.